Alright, everybody, sorry about the delay. Welcome back to round 2 of the Fatal Blowout tournament. We have Volt, Eli-san, Mrs. Mike, Sinister Rain, and Mini Lily racing this time with Rocket. No, I haven't changed that yet. Real Critical and Venicus will be doing commentary. I'll change that in a minute. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do a countdown right now. The runners will start, and then I will move over to commentary. And yeah, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And it looks like we're ready to go.
Yes, we are, RC. How are you doing? You calmed down from your first match there, sir?
I'm good. Yo, Ben, nice to have you around.
Yeah, I'm here in the flesh in the commentary booth. RC can vouch for me that I do exist. But we're here for
Yeah.
these 5 runners. I'm looking forward to this match. I've watched a couple of them pretty closely to see how they do, and there's a couple that I'm kind of like trying not to show my bias, but I am rooting for. What about yourself? Who are you looking for? Who out of this group of 5 runners are you keeping your eye on?
Well, I'm trying to keep my eye on everyone. Obviously, there is a couple of favorites, but I'm not gonna announce them here in the commentary position. I will say.
All right, I mean that's fair. Unfortunately, right now we do have Ellie going through some emergency situations. Hopefully, he comes back soon to really pick up the pace and jump back in. But as we're going through these first couple of rounds, why don't you run through the basics of what we're going through with the cave here? You are someone with the one of the highest knowledge sets of this, so I'll leave some of the explaining to you as we start off with this just building XP, grabbing some items here in the first couple of floors.
Sure, right. Yeah, so the first 9 floors, I guess, are kind of special because you can find items there that you can't find the rest of the cave. But other than that, you're basically looking at a standard roguelike. You're going to be finding random items that are basically placed by the floor, so you can find certain items starting at floor 30, let's say. And yeah, you're trying to make your way down. You're going to find random floors, randomly placed enemies, all again based on the floor you're at. And the challenge is to survive all the way through, to pick strategic battles to gain enough experience to make it all the way down. And yeah, at floor 99, there is a boss enemy called the Master Jelly waiting for you. And one of the objectives in the game, in the run, as well as in this tournament, is to kill the jelly.
It always is fun to make some jam out of that jelly right there. Anything in particular in these first couple of floors here that you really want runners to pick up?
Well, you can't really like try to pick up anything specific, or like you can't force it. But I guess in the first couple of floors, the most important thing is to get some kind of spell to kill cores if you can. A deadly rod would be great, and any spell and or item like a curse lifter can be picked up on any floor or blue chests. So yeah, all those would be items that runners would be happy to get, I assume.
That they are. And the first kind of roadblock here for people to get in is going to be the levels. So at floor 11 here, there's going to be something called red cores. And those are equivalent to, if anyone's played Dragon Quest, metal slimes. So those are going to be the biggest boost at the beginning to make sure that you can survive the earliest levels. Later on, there's going to be different colors, cores, and we'll go through that as they appear.
Yeah. So in a speedrun, you would be skipping most of these floors in a tournament, as this one is. You're kind of trying to pick up a couple more enemies, trying to get more experience, and basically make sure you have a bit more survivability. That's why you see people fighting these eagles and I guess jellies. It's a couple of good enemies, not the jellies, but the eagles. A couple of good enemies to kill. The
Yeah, if you
jellies, if you're in the encounter anyway, might just kill them.
Yeah, if you pick up the early Eagle Rock at the beginning here from these
Yeah.
encounters, give you that extra little bit of an agility boost for your characters, especially with the deadly items that they can grab.
Yeah. So you want to really quick go into why agility is important?
Agility is important because you always want to act first on the characters that we give our deadlies to. So there's deadly rods that are Arties or Salons or Tias that are generally the faster characters can equip, and the faster they are, the faster they can move, and the earlier you can get those off. Because we really don't want monsters to hit us as much as that, as much as they'd want to. We really just don't like it. So we got to grab those rods, grab those swords, and just move first. And that's the safest
Yeah.
way of dealing with this cave ever. Is just make sure you act first.
Yeah. And I mean, you're gonna get some shade from people for saying Selm is the fast character, but I see where you're coming from for sure.
Well, especially in these type of runs, because at like what is it, level 50, her agility really starts to scale, and she gets
30,
a
actually.
30. Yeah, sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake. But her agility really starts to scale pretty fast, pretty quickly, especially in these type of deep marathon runs. So I'm just surprised I don't see more people taking Salon for this, but I know that some people will give me shade for just saying that.
I mean, yeah, I can get behind the choice, and I guess so far we just didn't have a lot of Selin picks, but it's really, as the fourth character, doesn't really matter all that much. I can definitely get behind taking her into the cave here, because Decker and Artie are gonna be pulling most of the work in the jelly kill most of the time, and you gotta get Maxim anyway, right? So he's always there to help. So yeah, I'm definitely glad to see a couple of mixed up parties here, especially because the points, or I'm assuming especially because the points incentives kind of incentivize runners to replace Guy with either Seln or Tia or Lexus, as a matter of fact, but I don't think anyone took Lexus, is that right?
I don't think anyone took Les's, but there's one thing to note that Volt took Tia over Artie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he didn't replace Decker. He didn't replace Guy. He replaced Artie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
if I look at this right, I think Ellie also is taking Tia over Artie. So that's going to be something to really look forward to, is see how those parties deal with the later floors once we start getting into like Archfiends and the likes of things that we don't like seeing.
Yeah, Eli seems to still have a bit of trouble setting up, but I mean, he's 7 minutes late into it. I'm not sure how that's going to be counted by the tourney organizers, but in any case, even if he's missing the 7 minutes, that's not going to be a problem for his run.
Ellie himself is a very experienced runner, so I think those 7 minutes are not really going to affect him too much. He may not open just a couple of floors worth of chests, but he's usually pretty strong in these type of situations. So I would give him a little bit of extra leeway for that one. That this isn't gonna bother him too much.
Yeah, so I was gonna get into the magnitude of items that Mrs. Mike already picked up, but Volt just picked up an engage ring, yielding him 1 point. So, yeah, congrats. The one ring to rule them all, as he says in chat. That's right. So you will notice there is a Lord of the Rings theme this year. You can probably tell, or hopefully tell, by the logo on the top left. Provided to us by Eve ____. Thanks for
And
that as
there
well.
is an iris pot for Ellison. Do you want to go into explaining these iris items, the wonderful iris items?
Yeah, so there is 9 items in the cave that, as all the other items can randomly appear, they have a bit of a different way of how they're being placed, but let's just say they're very rare. And the more items you find, the more rare the rest of them get. So yeah, it's a bit of a thing in the community. There's special items. Some people like them, some people hate them. And in this tournament, you get 10 points for finding at least 3 of them.
Yeah, and here's another throwing shade question. Do you count the jelly as an iris item in your normal runs, RC?
The jelly's obviously not an iris item. So the girl in the town collects the 10 items, including the jelly, but there is only 9 iris items, no matter how you look at it. In my opinion.
All right, on Mini Lily's skin, she at least got 1 core to stay. Going a little overboard with the zap, but you know, getting a kill on that, and that's some really nice XP there to start off with.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
At the same time, Mrs. Mike fighting 4 mimics, and those are pretty scary at the early levels because you don't really have usually a lot of equipment, at least on any percent runs, to really deal with those bites from them.
Yeah, so you mentioned agility before as something that's important. So the other thing is you can get a surprise attack, which she managed to do here, which obviously are very strong because you get a full round of attacks and you can pick off, in this case, she could pick off 2 of the mimics without even fighting them, without even having them fight back. So even though the mimics themselves are quite fast, you get a free turn of attacks with all your characters, and yeah.
And we have simultaneously deadly rods.
I saw that. Yeah,
do you
very nice.
explain how deadly rods work for the folks that don't know?
All right, sure. So there is a couple weapons, such as the Deadly Rod, Deadly Sword, Fatal Pick, and that's it, that have a instant death chance of 80% when you attack with them. So their attack power itself is not really worth mentioning. It will deal 0 damage most of the time, but there is an 80% chance it will just kill all the enemies, with the exception of cores and undead and the jelly, of course. Oh, and I see Sinister Rain picking up a Curse Lifter right away. So, with the Deadly Rod that he just found, he can actually uncurse the Deadly Rod at the jelly and will also get a fractional weapon out of that. I guess we're gonna go into that a bit later, maybe, when we get close to the jelly.
Yeah, definitely. Those are really key items to just keep in the back of your mind that he does have them available, especially with this year's objectives. That a couple of them do count towards uncursing
Yeah,
some random items that we can find that are very
that's definitely true.
thematically appropriate. Let's say. Uh,
Yeah, some. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially since there are some parties that don't have arties, some of those objectives are locked off with that curse bow.
Yeah, you're right. So the Curse Bow is more rare than the Berserk Blade in the first place, so chances are you're gonna get the Berserk Blade point one way or another. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you might feed the Berserk Blade because you don't want to accidentally equip it or whatever. So it's just one option less that you have without Artie in the party. Yep, that's right. Oh, I see a lot of healing spells.
Ooh, this is good. Sinister Rain also picking up Ice Valk too, so he's got some pretty heavy damage and ways through monsters in the middle of the cave there. So I could see him kind of breezing through some of the ninja floors and stuff like that that other people might have problems with in the future. But again, with
Yeah,
ninjas, those are some fun things that will come up to once the runners actually get to those floors.
yeah, we can certainly hope that's gonna help. Oh, there is a Deca Blade for Lily. Very
Wow,
nice.
the first Decker Blade.
Yeah. I was just gonna mention how having Rally and Strong is really gonna help her because those two healing spells are basically the well, almost perfect combination because you can revive characters and heal them very, very quickly. The only thing you can't do is in battle heal your complete party to full because Strong isn't good enough for that. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be good for now. Someone found Valor as well. I'm not sure who that was, but yeah, that would be a spell that can revive and party heal. So,
Like
oh,
some
and
really great starts, really great starts. And if people
yeah,
don't know, with Decker Blade, it does have an IP attack called Fatal Blow, and as its namesake from this tournament, it does 50% of the monster's HP and damage, give or take, with some calculations that RC has delved deep into finding out. And it is very, very important to most runs to have. This year, there is an incentive to doing it without the Fatal Blow, I believe. And we will see if anyone can actually come up with the items to do it. But it is a staple for most jelly kills.
yeah, and Mini Lily just got the bomb attack incentive. That is to kill a encounter of 4 enemies with 1 bomb attack, which is an attack that hits every single enemy. So yeah, she kind of prepared the battle with a boomerang at first, doing a bit of damage, and then finishing off with a Rainy Axe's bomb attack. Sorry, and yeah, in this case, I don't think it was necessary. I'm also not sure because guess what? Not a lot of people are trying to use bomb attack in regular runs a lot of the time. So I know a couple of people that will probably know, but at least for me, it's been something hard to wrap my head around.
And we did have Vault say that he got it without us paying attention a little bit at the beginning of the run. So it is something that could easily slip past in this objectives because it is a new one because it wasn't in the last couple of Fatal Blowouts. So we'll see if most people elect to even try to get that because it is a few select weapons that have that bomb attack IP. And I know from my personal thing, I wouldn't have the wherewithal to just go and grab it. But Sinister Rain also grabbing Firebird right there too. He's getting loaded.
Yeah. So spell-wise, it looks like everyone's pretty much set from what I can tell. Oh, Mini Lily now also finding a Deadly Rod.
What?
This
That
looks like a
is
very well-equipped round.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really hurting for items this round, so we may actually have a pretty good race on our hands here.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it one way or another. But I don't think anyone's complaining so far from what I can see. The scores are a bit behind right now, so people are actually getting 10 points for every 10 floors they clear. So all the runners pretty much get more points than the scores give them credit for right now. But I'm sure we're gonna get that synced in a moment. Yeah, and basically in terms of how you started to talk about it before, what you're trying to look for in the beginning of the run, we're mentioning all these good items, but they're good for a specific reason. So you kind of want a couple of different components. You want to have healing spells, which is like Rally and Strong that we've seen, Stronger and Valor as well. Then there is the Deadly Rod to kill basically enemies with a lot of HP without really worrying about it. And there is Experience, which isn't really an item, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
And I
wow.
do see a Gades Blade.
All right. Do you want to explain this Gades blade while I kind of like calm down with all these items that we're seeing?
It's kind of hard to keep track of even or like keep up with commenting on them. So a Gades Blade is a finisher. That's I guess the fourth category of stuff you're looking for, not necessarily in the beginning, or just like the Red Saber, as a matter of fact. So there's an item that deals a lot of damage simply because the IP attack that it has, so basically the special attack of the weapon, deals 8 times the single attack damage. So basically it attacks 8 times, right? So yeah, there's just a really potent item that Lily just found for the Jelly Kill, and yeah, the only problem that she has right now is that she has Decker. And wait, who was the one finding the Decker Blade? Was that Lily?
Also found the Decker blade. Yes.
Okay, so the Gades Blade unfortunately is pretty much going to be useless, or maybe not. Let me just say this much.
Well, from any percent runners, usually finding that Gades blade usually ends up being a cursed run or two. But hopefully in this marathon that we can actually see that Gades blade in all its glory.
Yeah, I'm not on the superstition boat, so I'm not sold.
So when it comes down to marathons, Earthy, what would be your pacing strategy? You see people on like all these different floors. What would you think is the most comfortable pace going for this 2-hour time limit?
It's kind of hard to say if you're not, having the having the incentives in mind. But I generally, no matter what the incentives are, I like to think about it like there is 99 floors, right? So if you take 1 minute per floor, you're looking at about an hour 40, and then you still have like 20 minutes to go, right? So that is kind of the thing I have in the back of my head. So as long as you're on floor 20, by the time 20 minutes are passing, yeah, that's perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, that
But
makes
you
total
would
sense
also
at
be
that
fine.
time.
Yeah.
Also, one thing to know is as long as they get to the jelly floor before the 2 hours mark, they have as long as they want to be able to mix back to their parties, get everything they want equipped, and kind of just take a little bit breather before going after the jelly. Because after all, we want to see that jelly done with. So just getting to that floor before the 2 hours is the major key here.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, there is. Let me try the points command. Let's hope we get that running now. It looks like we do not. So there is a couple of points incentives that the runners will have to go for, and it's the rules command, my bad. And those heavily incentivize getting the jelly kill because you do get 100 points for reaching the jelly floor, which is 10 times 10 points for the floors, and then another 100 points for beating the jelly. And everything else is kind of icing on the cake, trying to kind of give you a tiebreaker in case no one gets a jelly kill or a couple of people get the jelly kill, right? So, yeah, it is something that people are going for. You can see Mini Lily fighting Evil Fish here.
I'm gonna say
Which-
I'm sweating here because evil fish
Yeah.
are the bane of my existence. So seeing anyone tackle these, I got some stress sweats going on. And luckily, Artie has Zap, and She had
Yeah, it
Salon
looks like
cost
she has a
courage here
plan.
for some defensive up just in case things go south, and
Yeah.
it's able to handle it like a pro.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
so
didn't
only
get the
one of
draw.
them got to attack, but you can see that Maxim and Sound are almost dead just from that attack, and it is an AoE attack, so it is usually an enemy you don't want to mess with. There is a strat where you can back attack them safely if you get the room that lets you do it. It's a couple of things you can do.
Speg in chat saying
So,
that they're just a bunch of wet spiders. That does not make make it any less stressful. Sorry, but unfortunately, the fight against the evil fish did not go as planned because she did not get the drop. Because
yeah.
in this round they're looking for the fruits. And do you want to kind of go into some capsule monsters and what these fruits actually do, and why we have these Pokemon around?
Yeah, sure. So the fruit that the evil fish specifically drop is the charm fruit, which you want for Blaze's M form. So capsule monsters have basically you get the choice of 7 different capsules. Oh, I like the strats here that Lily did. Very nice. So basically, you have 7 different capsules you can freely choose from, and those have 5 forms each. And for the final form, the M form, so called, the master form, you need a specific fruit that you need to feed them. For Blaze, that happens to be the charm fruit, and that only drops from these evil fish. So getting Blaze to M form and also Gusto to second form is one of the incentives in the tournament. It gives you 10 points, so that is why people are messing with these enemies that usually you would avoid if you could.
And like it's been said
At
in
least
chat,
I
that
would.
Lily found a Gloom Jewel during all of that explanation, and there's some extra easy
Oh.
points, just like that on that blue chest.
Nice, yeah.
All right, as all
Yeah,
these runners
so
are making their way through, what's going to be the next stop point? Floor 31 for cores, hoping that you grab some of this. And I know there's another special creature with a certain rock that they want to find. Do you wanna go in and explain some of the deals with the rocks and what they're gonna be looking for with that?
yeah, sure. I mean, before that, you obviously are looking to kill a party of blue mimics, right? For the points. But I guess what you're referring to is the Garbos, which drop an item called the Cancer Rock. And that rock is also a finisher in need for Jelly. I'm assuming that's what you were talking about, right?
Yeah, no one's as brave as you fighting blue mints not once but twice in a marathon race. So
Three,
I
three times, actually.
yeah, that is true. Third time's a charm. However, I
It is not a
personally
charm.
am a coward, so I don't expect too many people being as brave as you are on that one.
Well, let's be fair. It's not like I've been given a choice.
That is fair. That is fair. And meanwhile, as being brave and not really having a choice, there was a couple of hits from those draconians that Sinister had to go through in that small little hallway there.
Yeah.
Salon on the floor, sadly. She's not really that tanky at the beginning.
She's really not, yeah. So she is not an optimal character. Let's just say it like that. In any percent, she's not a character that you would very likely pick. You can, but then you gotta know that you're not running with the optimal party, hands down. I don't think there's anyone who disagrees on that one. And since the tournament is basically a extended any percent, the same things pretty much go for that as well. So I would say, as in terms of character picks, Tia would be the better character. Of course, Tia is even less tanky than Selen, but yeah, the agility is just gonna give you the edge once you have a second deadly rod, or maybe if you wanna go take a fail pick. I don't know. She's probably the more useful character. But of course, Selen gets a couple of additional items, such as the Dragon Spear that might be irrelevant, which might want to incentivize people to take Selen over Tia. For me personally, the choice was because Eve's done some amazing work with these sprites, and actually I like both those sprites, but Selen's sprite I like better. So I wanted to showcase that one.
Yeah, I saw your little plug for Eve sprites there at the end of your run. Everyone's got to make sure that they check out her artwork and how well that she's helped this community out by far with all the stuff that she's done throughout the years.
Tried to make the advertising as subtle as I could.
But, sometimes a good old blatant plug is just the best thing for it. Otherwise, in the top right corner, Mini Lily's got a fun little party room there with all the stairs. unfortunately, the cores ran away as the only prize that could have been there. Anything that you would say to look for in navigating these type of rooms? Because I know for some runners, some of these rooms would be a bit of a puzzle and a struggle to get through.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I guess we've kind of managed to go through 25 minutes of this without talking about movement, right? So, movement is kind of the most important thing, in my opinion, to learn when you're starting to run this. Because basically it lets you avoid enemies in the first place. You can see that each encounter takes place on the map, and the same is of course true for a treasure room. So you can actually, so if you're a beginner runner or like a casual player, these treasure rooms often seem daunting and they look like, oh man, I need to fight all these enemies, and that's what a lot of people do. But actually with movement, you can kind of get through them very easily, sometimes without fighting a single enemy. And yeah, the key to that is just knowing how exactly they move. There is no shortcut to it, so you can just know a single enemy's movement and you'll be good for the entire cave. That's not how it works. You really have to look at them all, and the experience just comes from running. And also, like, I'm sure even among the more experienced runners, people would play these kind of rooms very differently. So, yeah. What's your take on those, man?
Well, me as a personal, like, I can't dodge this. I am the one that usually runs in first, takes a couple of encounters, and then goes, oh, maybe I should think this out. Start doing a little R slashing and getting the proper movement going. There's also something that you termed with the R slashing. If you want to explain some of the finer points of what exactly I was talking about.
All right, so I mean, there's a couple ways you can, a couple of unintended ways you can make sure the movement goes in your favor, and one of those is R slashing. So there is a couple of enemies like the Dragonians, like those dragons with the spears that we saw before. Right now, I don't see any enemy that moves like that, unfortunately. So those enemies will move exactly opposite than you do, and you can actually kind of remote control those enemies by holding the R button, which is normally designed to rotate you on the spot, which is actually useful for not wasting steps when you're opening a chest or something as well. And yeah, by holding the R button and slashing, you can move those enemies without having to move yourself. And yeah, like you mentioned, that is one very good way you can get through rooms or even treasure rooms, yeah.
And as you're doing that explanation, Sin did take an encounter with an evil fish, albeit in in a not so optimal fashion, but he did get the charm fruit out of it. So look forward to that evolution later and hopefully getting those extra points.
Yeah, nice. I see Volt fighting a couple of those fish as well, which looks good.
Yeah, I'm surprised at actually how many runners are taking on these encounters.
Yeah, and without Firebird too.
That just goes to show actually how comfortable they are with their current setups and what they found early and are able just to like breeze through it.
Yeah, I see a bit of an assassination attempt on Lily's screen. There you go, third attempt. And yeah, those are the only enemies that move, well, that consistently move faster than you do. So they can catch up with you, and therefore you kind of always have to defeat them when you see them, and you need to get past them.
They have also their own deadly move that just unfortunately landed on Maxim with that terminal blow. So they are usually encounters in any percent that you take a little bit more time for. Look, make sure you have the right movements to get those 50-50s.
Yeah. So they're literally cheating, as you said, yeah. It's one of the only enemies that doesn't really kill you by draining your HP, but it kills you by draining your revive items. So unless you have a revive spell, as Lily does here with Rally, but if you don't have that, then yeah, it is very easy for those to take a couple of regains or even miracles out of your pocket.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch Volt's movements. I know on that floor that he had a blue mimic right in front of a door, and it may end up being a forced encounter to get through. Oh, no, he found another way around. There you go, I just eat my words. I was just hoping for that blue mimic.
That's good though. I mean...
Okay, and we see that Ellison is also back and running. He had a few little difficulties in the back, so hopefully he can make his way through and catch up in no time.
Yeah. One more thing I want to kind of say to the treasure rooms now that I'm looking at Eli's room is, especially like again, as I said before, if you're a beginner runner or just starting out and whatever, one thing is to go, oh no, a treasure room, there's nothing I can do, right? And that's like the thing I kind of like to avoid. Just try your best, try to go into it, try to learn as you go, and you'll see it's easier than you think. I mean, you see all these runners blazing through here with relative ease, I will say. And yeah, it's definitely possible.
One of the rooms, just from a personal experience, you come into, see a treasure room with a whole bunch of ninjas, and then you just like, well, let me prepare this reset button because that's gonna happen pretty quick.
Sure. Yeah, but like always try, right? You
Oh,
might
of course.
just at the very least in a tournament. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in this tournament, I feel like everyone's gonna never say die, and we might see something that'll teach us a thing or two.
Yeah. I mean, so far, everyone's really looking great. So Eli had a couple of like starting issues at the start, quite obviously, right? So he's a bit behind, I'm gonna say. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure he's gonna get there.
I'm seeing some people getting into floor 40 right now, and we're only 31 minutes in. Like, everyone's paces are pretty good.
Yeah. So in terms of pace, that's the thing about the cave. Like, you don't just need a good time. You can, of course, run to a jelly and try to go for the suicide points that you get. However, in order to get a kill, you need a couple of items to make it work, and you want to pick those up on the fly.
Yeah, and so far only Lily's come up with that Decker Blade, I think. It's really hard to see all 5, but I think that's the only one that we've seen so far. I'm sure chat will correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
I also didn't see another one in.
Other than that, we're going to be looking at floor 50 and getting Old Sword and Lizard Blows. And since we're starting to talk about grabbing these items, we haven't really talked about IP. Do you want to go ahead and explain what actually IP is?
Yeah, sure. So in the battles, you can see the lower bar below HP and MP is called IP. So that stands for Ikari points, which basically means anger points if you want. And you fill that bar by gaining damage from enemies in whichever way. It's a bit of a complicated formula, it doesn't really matter. Every time you get hit, you get IP. And you can use that IP to use the special skills from weapons and armor and just generally equipment, which is kind of cool that those skills are tied to the equipment that you're wearing. So that is why we're looking for things like Deca Blade, because the Deca Blade in itself is not terribly impressive. The attack power is only like 200. I don't know. I have no idea actually. But the IP attack cuts the enemy's HP in half, or actually deals more than half of the jelly's HP most of the time in damage. So that is the kind of item that you're looking for. It is actually the strongest item you can get against the jelly, with the Gades Blade probably going to be the second strongest, I'm going to say. Depends on your situation. And yeah, you're trying to pick that up somewhere in the cave.
And Mrs. Mike getting an engage ring, so there's an extra point. Singular point for her in her race.
A single point, yeah. So, yeah, so much for the tiebreaker between her and Volt. That didn't work. Yeah. I just saw Eli pick up a Blaze Sword, which, as we talked about Selm before, she can equip some weapons that Tia or, of course, Guy can't, and the Blaze Sword is one of them. So Selm is the only character that can equip that weapon, and I'm not sure which party Eli has chosen, but...
I believe he had Tia instead of Artie, but the rest was Max and Guy Decker.
I see. Yeah, so unfortunately he's missing out on that sword.
Just another point for Salon being best choice, and I'm just waiting for the rocks to start coming through my windows here.
You're a Salon fan, I take it. Yeah.
For these type of marathons, 100%.
Yeah, you're in good company.
Oh right, so we got green cores on Lilies. Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't want to stay. This is the next big XP boost because we want as many green cores as we can before ninjas.
Yeah, So these have a escape chance of 75%, so that's not great. But once you manage to pick off one of those, they yield an amazing amount of XP, sorry. And they generally, oh man, I'm looking at Sinister's Assassin. Yeah, definitely party room. But yeah, by killing cores, you get a bunch of experience, which allows you to go through the cave faster, basically, just to finish that thought.
Yeah, and as I was saying, ninjas, remember how before we were talking about assassins, ninjas are basically they're bigger, bulkier, more annoying older brother. They get
Yep.
two turns per your one, and they have something called Knife Thrower, which just demolishes parties.
Yeah. Yeah, fortunately, they can only use one knife thrower per turn, but yeah. It is not great to see.
Ooh,
So, unlike assassins that basically... Oh, there's an iris sword for Lily.
Yeah, and Mrs. Mike grabbing strong there for healing. Not the best healing to see, but at least it's something.
Yeah, but she also just picked up Rally, if I saw that correctly, so... Lily and Miss Mike both set up very well with healing spells. So the numbers next to the streamers' names are the points. You can check out the rules link, it's in chat posted by Muba just now, and you will see all the points and objectives. We're talking about a couple of them so far, but the points is generally, or is basically what decides the winner of this race at the end of the run, which is 2 hours long. And whoever has the most points by that time is the winner. Well, unless there is a jelly fight after it, but you know what I mean.
Oh, Ellie taking the wrong encounter with some evil fish here. Unfortunately, well, I should say, fortunately enough, you had enough healing to get everyone back on, but it's pretty easy for that to go south pretty quickly. For those things hit hard.
Yeah. Oh, and he is trying for the 50%, so yeah, that is a bit ballsy, I will say, at level 11. That is not a level where you could really survive getting even 2 10-leggers, I would say. I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't try it anyway. He really seems to want that charm
to try those red plants on Lily's side.
Yes, also not a great enemy to mess with, but that's a good showcase of the Deadly Rod. Already just hits once and finishes off the enemy.
Oh, and a blaze attack to easy finish. So here I am worried, but she had more than enough to take care of that. The only thing with those red plants is as soon as they pick a target to attack, they hit all 3 times to that target. So once they pick someone, it's usually good night to that one person.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Here we go. These couple of crabs lining up for Sin to take those cancer rocks off. I don't know if anyone else has picked one up, so it'll be a nice little grab for him if he can.
Yeah, I've seen someone fight them before, but I haven't seen a cancer rock yet. There is a second curse lifter for Mrs. Mike, so yeah, we're going into the territory that you were talking about before of uncursing items for points. So I guess she's going to be looking for the Berserk Blade or Cursed Bow.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a couple of those objectives knocked off, and even though she's a little behind on pace-wise, that'll be more than enough to keep her toe-to-toe with everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is the way a race should really be going. Everyone's kind of at the same pace, I will say. Kind of, sorta, anyway. And we're definitely looking good on time, so this is a very promising set of runs here.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's no one I think is struggling too hard. There's another curse lifter for Sin. So
yeah, that's his second one at least.
He's looking good on that, and maybe we'll get even another objective there. And, like, everyone is doing great. Like, this is the type of run I want to see, where all 5 runners actually have a really solid chance of going deep. Okay, couple of crab fights going on Mrs. Mike's side to grab a cancer rock too. And Lily going through some ninjas. So yeah, everyone's doing well.
Yeah, she's making quick work of them though. It's very nice. So Yeah, she just found the Buster Sword, which is actually the most potent item that has the bomb attack. But of course, she already got that goal.
Oh, an Earth Jewel. Anytime I see a shiny blue chest, I'm hoping for like a Twist Jewel to increase that agility or something, but unfortunately this time just an Earth Jewel.
Yeah. It happens. I mean, there is a couple of items that people are looking for points. There's a couple of items that people are looking for because they're just really helpful. So, yeah, there is also one I see for Sinister there. Very curious to see what it's going to be. And so is he, I bet you.
Okay, Eli going through another evil fish. Unfortunately, this looking a little bit more painful.
Yeah. I guess he's trying to show off what happens if you don't get the surprise attack. Or actually, I didn't see whether he got the surprise attack or not, but I'm assuming that's what happened.
I gotta give him props that he keeps on trying. Like, his party isn't exactly fully leveled, but he knows how important those objectives can be, and he keeps on trying those encounters.
Yeah, apparently he can afford it, and apparently he thinks he needs to afford it. Yeah. And he is taking a 50-50. I mean, that's very risky. Yeah. But it looks like it's working out for him, so who am I to complain? I will say there is a setup to get a 100%. Oh, very nice. Very
Good
nice.
job,
So he actually manages. Yeah, he actually manages to kill them with a bomb attack. Does not get the fruit, but he does get the points for the bomb attack, which is 5 points. So that's very nice.
And Lily taking some encounters with Bryn's lizards, and with Bryn's lizards drops them hopefully some Twist Jewels. Get that sweet agility.
Yeah, plus 30 agility is really good. It's the second strongest agility awarding item in the game, and the only one you can combine with it, or the fastest you can combine with the Deadly Rod. So, yeah, you would like to have it. He did not get it.
Just watching all these 5 screens, and hopefully something that I can pick out of nowhere. All I got is Volt fighting ninjas, and those are always nerve-wracking. Oh, we got a couple of knife throwers. Tia goes down, and a nice little snipe off of Maxim to make him go down. But at least we got our tank still alive.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he's still going to be tanking. If you look at those HP values,
Yeah,
that is
true.
Not looking good.
No,
Yeah,
that's it.
No chance here to survive that.
But with an hour and 15 minutes and some change left over, Volt still has a chance to run through again. But that's just proof when the cave wants you dead. They got ways.
That's true. I believe his PB shows that he can do it in that time, and I mean, yeah, no reason not to PB anyway in a tournament like this, right?
Now's the time.
Who am I to talk to? Yeah, I know.
I believe he still has time to go the saying, like the casual sub RC. You know, there's still time on the clock to do it.
That's right. Yeah. And go for a couple of incentives in the tournament while you're at it.
Exactly. There are still ways to make it to the jelly in this amount of time. So don't count Volt out. He was still ahead on points too. Like, anything can happen. He's still in it.
Yeah, so Mrs. Mike is fighting a couple of shadows, which is an enemy we see more frequently in tournaments lately, it appears. Those guys drop a Gloom Jewel, but the chance for that is really low. I think it's 4% or 2% or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. As you can tell, it was not in my strats to kill those guys for the jewel. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, she did not get it.
I would much rather see those Gloom Jewels come out of blue chests than trying to fight those with the Vile after. Let's just say that. But you know what? That is heads up play, fighting them to hopefully get that drop, because I probably wouldn't have even thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is one way of getting a point, and as with everything in this run, you can usually compensate for it, right? So if you're missing a finisher, you can get a Cancer Rock and get a multi-damage output from one of your characters that way. So you can kind of compensate by farming enemies, is what I'm trying to say. And I guess you can do the same for this tournament by going for really rare rocks. And Volt, right as he re-enters, finds Rally, so revive and healing spell, I suppose.
The cave giving him a nice little present as a way of apology for the last rude interruption.
Yeah, a nice Kickstarter. It's definitely good. If he is trying to run, having Rally in the back pocket is going to be amazingly useful.
Oh yeah, yeah, it can get you out of jail pretty quickly if a
Yeah,
couple of things are rude and knock you down. Lily getting into the 50s now, so now some really good items are gonna start appearing, and probably the last little chunk of really hoping for opening besides the 60s and the Myth Blade. But since she already has a Decker and a Gades, how much hunting do you think she'll actually do?
well, she can't use the Decker and the Gades, right? Because of her party. So, yeah, she still basically needs everything but the Decker Blade, if I'm not mistaken. She has the Deadly Rod, and does she have Curse Lifter? I don't think she does.
Whoa,
Oh,
she
she has
did
a
get a
Cancer
Cancer
Rock, though.
Rock, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she gets an Evil Jewel off of these two, too, on this Force Encounter, that's just a bonus. Unfortunately. And Evil Jewel's only a 2% drop?
Yeah, that's a 2%. I know that one for sure. It seems more common than that, though, to me personally.
And chat saying that she has a red saber as well as that Cancer Rock, so
Oh, very nice.
she's
Yeah,
actually set up pretty good.
that sets her up very nicely, yeah. So finding a good weapon for Selen isn't as easy as for Decker Guy Maxim, but it's possible. So there's a good chance that Selen's going to be using the Cancer Rock at the end of the run. Something we should probably mention is that you only get 3 turns to kill the Jelly. That is why we're doing all this strategizing around it. So you kind of actually have to pay attention to your equipment. You can't just hold L, as they say, so just attack over and over until the boss is eventually dead, like you would expect an RPG boss to work. But you actually have to reduce his 9,980 HP in 3 turns to 0 in order to get the kill.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of prep and setup, but all of our runners are fairly common making some jam out of this jelly, so we'll just love to see how diverse the parties get. And unfortunately, Sin taking these encounters with these summoners and knocking out Maxim. These guys just like to take up a lot of time and take up a lot of resources healing parties back up.
Yeah, that is definitely not an intentional encounter, I can promise you that. And those teleporters have the annoying capability of teleporting right into your way and taking a lot of HP from you. But fortunately, he is at a pretty high level in surviving this without too much damage, I will say. Well, speaking figuratively.
And seeing his stockpile of 7 miracles, it's just a little bit of a distraction for him rather than life or death. But, you'd like to keep those miracles a little bit later until the Archies show up. So just keep an eye on that stock, and hopefully that doesn't spoil his plans later.
That's true. Yeah, so 7 should be plenty, though, for a while. And there was a couple of nicely parked chariots. An enemy that can only move left and right.
But luckily enough, with a few extra sword slashes, just lured him out enough to sneak by that door frame.
Yeah, that was very well done.
Alright, and Mrs. Mike actually finishing up feeding and getting a 3rd form Darby. That's a little bit useful, because Darby himself has an instant death in his 3rd form, though I can't quite remember if it's learned through combat or he starts out with it. RC, if you want to...
Oh, he starts out with it. It's, is it Destruction or Terminate? It's something like that. Either way, it's a 90% instant kill chance. And I believe it's AoE, so yeah, it's great. I'm not using Darby a lot myself, so I can't actually recall whether it is at this hour.
Yeah, so that is another heads up play going, hey, I don't really have the instant death that I want. Let's have my little capsule monster help me out on that aspect.
Yeah, it is single target. Okay, I stand corrected. It's AoE on the M form. All right, there you go.
Perfect. Chat bailing us out and having the knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
And Sinister fighting some Hedoras.
Yeah, same as Lily. So Lily already got the Cancer Rock, so technically she doesn't need the Hidara Rock. It does provide a bit of additional agility, and of course she might want the experience. I'm not sure at this point, but either way, it's an enemy you can easily encounter because you can get an easy back attack, which means you get a 100% first strike. Oh yeah, and Eli has the standard 8% party, I see.
Did he change it? Okay. I
I'm not
thought
actually sure what happened there.
I was pretty sure that he had Tia to start off with. Maybe it was
Yes, and
maybe it was just me being mistaken, but I thought he did. But
maybe something did happen and he did change it. So you said at the beginning that something came up, like not related to the cave, that kind of had him distracted for a second. So maybe there was something or other that happened in the background that we wouldn't know about.
yeah, well that's a good catch by chat making me double think here. And yeah, so we will make sure that he just has his standard party points.
I see. All right.
Okay. So we are getting another Iris ring for Sin. Is that 2 or 3 Iris items for him?
I saw two.
Oh right. So we got to keep an eye and see if he gets his third Iris item for those extra bonus points too. Because any points in the storm, I guess, just keep those points racking up, and hopefully that's enough to carry him over to the top.
Yeah, and Eli clarifies in chat that he did intend to take Tia, but then took Maxim Geidecker Artie by mistake. I guess it happens. Unfortunately, you're disqualified. No, I'm joking.
Oh right. So now that we're starting to get into the hour mark, what would be on your mind in this marathon, Narcy? Like, what would you be looking for? What would you be trying to like strategize in your head going over? Do you want to rush to the jelly and get those bonus points and just be in there? Speaking of bonus points, there's Lily with a magic scale.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
yeah, take us through
Man.
like what you'd really think at this point.
So from a general perspective, let's just say I don't like. I'm looking at the goals in general, and a lot of them are RNG based. Like whether you find a magic skill or not is RNG, right? You can't really influence that. You're just gonna keep opening chests. Basically, you're gonna be done with all the objectives you can actively go for. You could try to still go for the bomb attack, but I'm assuming people that want it already did it. From here on out, it's gonna be a bit harder. And the only objective you still can do, except for the jelly goals, is to feed the capsules and to go for the Gorgon Rock, which gives you the Axe attack, IP attack. So those two you can do, but Gorgon Rock is not until floor 72. So that's not for a little bit. Until then, generally speaking, I don't want to backseat game anyone here, so I hope people make their own decisions. But generally speaking, I like to take my time. You do get 5 points for finishing, for every 15 minutes you finish before the 2-hour mark. But I believe that the time is better spent trying to maybe go for a 2-turn kill at the jelly instead of a 3-turn kill. Or maybe one of the other objectives that you're still missing. So once you get to the jelly, your run is over, so you don't get the leftover amount after 2 hours to get back into the cave and look for iris items, right? So you kind of got to look for them while you're still in the cave.
Right, and hopefully all these runners are kind of thinking that in the back of their head is using their time more efficiently, because we're halfway through. This is another hour, and for cave runners, an hour can feel like a lifetime just going through the floors and making sure that they open. And yeah, during
Yeah, but like,
during our talk there,
yeah.
Ellie taking a sizzle sword, and that's a great item for Maxim.
Nice, yeah.
All right. What else can we talk about as people are just opening up here and getting through? Uh, uh, as
Yeah,
for,
no
as
one really seems to have a problem, right?
Yeah, like usually by this time we're gonna be freaking out about oh no, encounter this or oh someone's taking this, but everyone's doing
Yeah.
comfortably. Volt has made a comeback. It's already into the 20s for his comeback after his death. Like he's doing fine on his pace. Everyone else is just making their way. Like this is great to see.
This is really good, yeah. I mean, there's still a chance we're gonna see 5 complete runs here. I don't wanna, you know, raise anyone's expectations too much, especially with Vault still having to have a bit of good luck to get there in time, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, getting sandwiched here between bees and snakes. But yeah, generally speaking, for most of these runners, it's definitely what they want, I guess.
Yeah. And as we say, there's a couple of things that we could talk about here. No cores. This is their last stop for the big XP gains. These things give a whopping amount of XP, and you just want them. They are in your sights, and I have a bad
Yeah.
habit of mad dashing right towards those no cores. I gotta be honest there.
Yeah, getting back attacked by 2 Edoras in the process, but you get those cores.
Exactly. In the end,
Yeah.
it's still worth it.
Well, yeah, if you encounter the cores before the Hedoras. Yeah, I mean, as the nature of the points incentives have it, like I said, the runners can't really go for specific incentives here. But there is still a couple of challenging floors coming up. So if I'm looking at this, people are already past the 60s floors, so the no cores. Wait, am I? That's not actually true, is it?
No, that
Yeah, people are
City-
just at the 60s. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that is the last floor you're actually gonna see those cores. And actually, we are seeing those cores here in Sir's stream. And after that, you see a lot of challenging enemies. So you kind of are trying to take this opportunity to get some experience, to maybe get a Hidorok, as I mentioned before, for the plus 20 agility. And basically are looking for levels, equipment, whatever that lets you survive the 70 floor 73 to 88, which are the floors that have archfiends, they have leeches. Well, leeches are also slightly before that, but basically a couple of very dangerous enemies. Anyone playing the cave casually will definitely recognize them as enemies that are not fun to mess with. And yeah, for some of those, mainly the faster ones, the same goes for the cave. Those enemies are rather brutal.
And there's a curse bow picked up by Mini Lily, so we'll see if she ends up getting a curse lifter to use that for bonus points.
Yeah, and if she wants to, right?
That is true. With her having a deadly rod, it'll probably take priority over the deadly rod being curse lifted than those points. Just to make sure a kill goes off.
So again, I'm not trying to backseat game, but I'm really looking forward to something that she might do here in the end. I'm very curious in that regard, and in that case, the cursed bow is definitely not gonna get uncursed.
But think of the points, RC. Think of the points.
Oh, I am thinking about the points.
Also,
Yeah, we'll see.
Ihadoras aren't the safest to fight. These guys aren't that calm. Especially only having Blizzard. I would only really like personally to take on Ihadoras having Ice Valk, but she handles them just fine. Gets out unscathed. Unfortunately, no Hedora.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Blizzard, I guess that's an interesting point, right? We were talking about Eli encountering the Evil Fish before. Actually, a couple of our people just being equipped with Fireball, which is a tier 2 spell. So in terms of strength, tier 2 out of 3. And Them being weak to fire, they take additional damage from Fireball, but you really want to have Firebird to make sure they die, which is the tier 3 equivalent. So I guess the same thing applies to Hedoras, right? But personally, I would say encountering Hedoras with Blizzard alone is usually fine, especially if you have 3 spellcasters, like Lily does, because instead of Guy, she has Sullen, right? So you get a lot of casts out of Blizzard. And... oh, but I do see the... regular Hedora, what's it called? The Sea Hedora being focused down here instead of the High Hedora, so that was probably a deadly miss. Yeah,
and already,
the second
already getting the
Hedora.
follow-up and gets the rock. Dang, that
Very
works
nice.
out just perfectly. There's
Yeah.
some nice needed agility, and I think that brings up Artie's agility. I think I saw 158, so not quite the speed that we want, but getting really close.
Yeah, I believe I saw 152, but either way, it's in the 50s. And oh, and I see there is a Misto Jewel for Mrs. Mike, who's gonna show those ninja how it feels.
Oh no!
Very nice.
And Vault taking a death to the tentacles.
The Ammonites, yeah.
That was just a rude death there. I didn't even see him get into that encounter, but that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel your pain, man. All the saying Discord that he's done. And yeah, I can't blame him. The R mark is basically when you gotta have the stars aligning to still finish the run. And yeah, as the second highest person in terms of points here in the tourney so far, in the race so far, you might be thinking, okay, he can get back in and he can reel in a couple more points, but it's really not that realistic, I will say, to actually catch all the people that are still in the high floors. They're still gaining 10 points simply by clearing 10 floors at a time. So yeah, it just happens. GG Vault.
And that basically sums up his thought process for us. That is unfortunate. He did do very well to try to catch back up after that first death, but you know, sometimes the cave is mean.
I will say the lower left of our stream arrangement here does not seem to be the luckiest, which coincidentally also happens to be the one I have the most trouble like focusing on, right? Simply because of the arrangement. So maybe, you know, that's for the better. I don't want to say that because I really would have hoped for Volt to get further than he did here. But yeah, maybe for the runners next week, watch out for that spot.
Also, watch out for this room with a whole bunch of Surfacos and Sly Foxes. This is not a room I'd like to see.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta deal with them, right?
We do, so let's see how Ellie's experience can get him through this room, because personally, just seeing that, I'd start panicking.
Yeah. Sure, I mean, some of these treasure rooms are not great, and this is definitely one of them.
Oh,
so it does have a curse lifter, so that's a bit of a consolation prize. But yeah, I see a lot of enemies there that you really don't want to mess with. He is taking the 50-50 with the Hedora.
He gets it, that's amazing.
Yeah. He has a lot of success with those 50-50 encounters, so as the name suggests, there is a 50-50 chance to get a first strike when you side attack an enemy, or respectively a 50% chance to being surprise attacked if an enemy side attacks you. And Eli seems to be pretty confident about that one.
Yeah, he's handling it like a champ. He just went in with no hesitation, got it, and he's just gonna move on. Unfortunately, these green plants have some other ideas with those sleeps going off on Decker and Guy.
Yeah. Oh, and there is a cursed bow for Sinister Rain.
Come on.
And he actually has the curse lifters to use it. Oh, does he have Artie though?
Does
I don't
not.
remember.
He does not have.
He does not. Okay, well, there goes that. Yeah, you were talking about it in the beginning, right? So it did become relevant. Very interesting.
Hopefully he doesn't use that curse lifter thinking that he'll get the extra points, because unfortunately Artie needs to be the Legolas and use that bow.
Oh, I mean, no worries about that because you can only use the curse if they're in characters, right? So, since you
True.
can never equip the curse bow, yeah.
You know
And
what?
Miss Mike just found a Decablade.
That is our second Decker Blade.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, it
two.
at least seems to me that Lily and Miss Mike are kind of pulling ahead of the field here. I say that with Sinister being further down the cave, but I don't think he has quite as much gear for the jelly fight.
Yeah, but being floor 71 just a little over an hour is that's pretty great timing.
Yeah. So he can take his time for the leftover 30 floors here, open a lot of more chests, maybe find the gear that he needs, and he's already level 29, which is a very comfortable level, I would say. You're not going to survive every battle with it, but you're also not going to get in a situation where you just find that every enemy you can encounter is too strong for you, right?
Looking at
That's
this,
definitely a
apparently I was
situation.
mistaken. He does have Artie on his team.
Oh, right, he does have already. Yeah.
So, you know what, Ven? You don't know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna just take the L on that one. Let's see him
It
use
happens.
let's see him use that cursed bow and get those extra points if he can remember.
Yeah, maybe if he wants to, right? Let's not bait anyone into possibly terrible
That is
ideas.
true. Again, the hashtag no backseating from me here.
Yeah, no.
In my own personal opinion, we will
Yeah.
see if he gets points later.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of hard. I mean, we have no idea whether runners are actually listening to us or not, right? So, yeah, it's.
But he is on the floors to get Gorgon Rocks, so let's see if he can snag one of those quickly.
Yeah, and Lily finds a Berserk Blade here and is looking to feed it away, but unfortunately, the Sully that she's trying to feed it to will not have it. So, that item, if you equip it by mistake, then yeah, you will be stuck with it until you actually use the curse lifter on it. So in this run, you're gonna be compensated by getting 10 points if you can use the curse lifter because you found it. But yeah,
Yeah, looking at our runners, Lily just hitting floor 65. Ellie making the time up is already on floor 58, so not too far behind our other runners here.
yeah,
He's actually pulled ahead of Mrs. Mike. Just looking at hers, she's only floor 55, so Ellie more than making up that time difference.
yeah, definitely. I mean, the 2 hours is very generous for experienced runners. You will not always get there because of roadblocks like Volt has seen. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do to actually finish the run. But in terms of time, the 2 hours should be comfortably enough to, even spend a bit of extra time. Like I said before, you basically get more than a minute per floor. And for most of these floors, or for some of these floors, you will find that you're gonna need like only a couple of seconds. So I guess we all remember how we played the cave in our childhood, or those of us who did, anyway. And yeah, leaving the console on overnight and playing for an entire week or so.
I personally remember renting it from Blockbuster week after week after week,
Oh.
and never able to beat the cave at all.
Yeah.
My parents actually stopped me from renting the game anymore because they're just like, "No, you've been going at this for months. It's time to put it down." And then I grew up and found this, and like,
Yeah, and you're being like, yeah, joke's on you. Yeah, nice. Oh, Mini Lily's in a bit of a situation here. So she's I'm not liking what I see here. So there's 2 enemies he'd rather not encounter. She was hoping for the dragon to move away. Unfortunately, that did not happen, so she now finds herself in a white dragon encounter, and I believe she's gonna survive it, but yeah, we can only hope.
Oh, I think
Doesn't
Decker
look good.
just has enough HP to survive this.
I don't. Yeah.
No,
No.
no.
Man, that's a shame. So
That-
Lily had a very good run going. It looks like she's gonna go back into the cave and try to up her leading points total right now. She's tied with Sinister. So, yeah, I mean, technically everything can still happen. As long as Sinister doesn't get into a roadblock and manages to make it to Jelly, I don't think she can catch up. But the points here are so close together, and she's actually so comfortably ahead in front of Eli, Miss Mike, and Volt, that there is the second place to consider, right? Which is the wildcard round. So the winner of this race will advance to the finals, but the second place will advance to the wildcard. So, yeah. I'm assuming that's what she's going for.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, 50 minutes left, anything can happen. She can find a couple of points here. If I look up the score thing, score sheet, she still has a few objectives to be able to get, because she could go back in, grab Providence out for those extra points. So there's a lot of strategy behind what's left.
Yeah. And of course, she might still just pull a win out of it, right? Like, I don't want to say that the wild card is the best that's in store for her. Not by any means. It ain't over till it's over.
Exactly. 50 minutes is a lot of caving.
Yeah.
Okay, as we see, Ellison farming more Hedora Rooks, getting the back attack on there. Let's see if he actually gets the drop out of it. Well, Mrs. Mike unfortunately fighting 4 red plants. And these guys are nothing but time wasters.
Yeah, it's weird to suddenly see horses and early floors again, while we've been seeing 4 very promising runs here only a minute ago. Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, I do see Blaze sitting there on the screen for Sinister Rain. I think he fed him a little bit earlier. So does it mean he did get the Charm Fruit? Do you remember?
I believe he did get the Charm Fruit, yes, but I'm unsure if he got the Oh no, yeah, no, he did get the Charm Fruit. Never mind, the objective is Blaze
Okay.
and then Gust to form too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I believe he is getting himself set up for all that.
Yeah, nice. So I can definitely get behind switching to Blaze directly. And it's a capsule we don't really see all that often. There is one person in particular in the community who tries to change that, but at least in this tournament, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of Blaze and hopefully a lot of M-form Blaze awesomeness, because it does have a very nice attack called Inferno. Yeah, that we don't see too often in regular runs, because M-forms just take way too long to get normally in any category, basically.
Yeah, being usually just an any percent runner, I don't think I've ever really seen too many master forms in my time.
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
But hopefully Blaze does become the best boy doggo and help Sinister out with a jelly kill later.
Yeah, it is a dog evolving into a Firebird. Like, yeah, some of these evolutions better not be questioned.
Hey, how we looking here? Sinister still making his way pretty quickly down the floors. I don't know if he's searching for the. I guess he still doesn't have a Decker Blade, so he's going to be taking a lot of his time to find that.
I will say I did see him pick up a Mistrip here, and Mrs. Mike, for that matter, picked up a Lizablow, so both very potent finishers. But yeah, those alone don't make a kill, especially with the Mistrip here for Sinister. I'm not sure what else he picked up. I unfortunately did not keep track here. Now he's on the stairs base trying to get that Gorgon. That's pretty nice. Basically trying to stay out of view from the genies to the right and Archfiends on the bottom. Interesting situation.
But him having the wherewithal to know, if I just slash my sword, that Gorgon's gonna come right to me. I don't have to deal with all these scary things. I can just stay where it's safe.
Yeah. And from the looks of it, I just saw that Mrs. Mike has a deadly sword equipped. It looks like she did not get a deadly rod. Well, if I can assume that from the fact that there's a deadly sword equipped and not a deadly rod. That's also something that is, I will say, out of the ordinary. But since she has a curse lifter, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, we'll just see how important that extra bit of agility is later. Because
Oh,
against those, oh, and there's a myth blade.
very nice room.
So she has a lizard blow, a decker blade, and a myth blade. She is set. Because I believe she's also running just the true any percent party. Like, so she's got everyone equipped to the nines basically.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, there's definitely an item you're gonna be happy to have because no matter how you look at it, it's gonna help you at the jelly fight. You're almost always gonna equip it. And part of the reason is that no matter which party you have, Maxim can equip it, and you have to have Maxim in your party, right? So, yeah, it's just a really good option for him.
Yeah, with still 45 minutes remaining on the clock, all she has to do is be slow and steady, making it to the jelly, and that's gonna be. As I say that, spawning right in front of a gold Gorham, I'm just gonna stop trying to get a commenter curse going, and I'll just, sit back and enjoy the ride while it happens.
Oh, if you're worried about jinxes, I'm gonna one-up you here because Chad is talking about whether she's actually on PB pace, so maybe this is not the time to exercise caution and instead, maybe go for the time. I don't know. Let's see how she decides. In any way, she does not seem to be in a detrimental kind of hurry, So that's good.
Yeah, especially being those points behind Mini Lily for the second place there. Just her keeping casual, like not knowing what the other runners are doing is gonna leave everything up in the air. But if she just knows, just keeping calm is gonna be the best thing for her. Even though in this type of situation, it's very easy just to like tense up and try to force some running or force a move that you wouldn't normally do. But in this situation, everything's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you mentioned before, Eli's catching up nicely, so he's on floor 66 now, also with gold Gorms. And, not behind the other runners anymore.
Yeah.
Not far behind, anyway.
And there's Sin with another cursed bow, just
Yeah. Just to remind him.
Exactly.
It is a one-time objective, though, so just to add that. So all these random goals are a one-off, so you can't uncurse multiple cursed bows, even if you... Well, you can, but you won't get points for it.
Yeah, nothing's really gonna stop him, but... after one's enough.
Yeah.
Alright. We're getting later on the floors. I think this is almost Sin's last chance at Gorgon Rock, because I think he's on to 82.
Longbow's nice.
Well, yeah, 84 would be the last floor, but you're right, it's the last set of Gorgons, and it is 5 points, so I mean, those 5 points could make or break. Fortunately, it's well, I always mention this, I can never remember. It's either a 15 or a 20% drop. I believe it's 15. I'm sure someone will correct me on that if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's not the best chance in the world one way or another. And you do usually have to kill a couple of them to get it. So, yeah.
Ellie with a double leech encounter.
And I see a lot of status effects right as that starts. Yeah. So, in general, the link to our Discord was just posted in chat. Thanks for that. And if you, as in the viewer, are interested in joining us, maybe get into speedrunning yourself and looking for a couple of resources, or trying to find all the tools that we're talking about. Maybe you're looking for the summer patch, or maybe you want to be in the next journey, I don't know, or just want to hang out, of course, then feel free to join.
Sorry to jump in here, but Sinister teleporting into an Archfiend encounter.
Yeah, and I see Mini Lily spawning in the single node room inconsequentially.
Time for gold armor.
Luckily enough, getting the insta death on the Archie, so hopefully Sin can get out of this fight without. Oh no! Oh no! It's getting
It should
bad.
be fine, yeah.
Should be fine. Luckily,
Fortunately, those ice rogues aren't very fast.
and also fortunately that there was only one sprite there where he spawned in. That wasn't a forced like double encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is actually why people either enter stairs from below or are turn. So basically turn up once you enter the next floor. Basically to prevent being back attacked by an enemy there. So Archfiends can't back attack you, but with other enemies that's a possibility, and yeah. Obviously you're never looking for a forced encounter, but if you have to have it, at least not get back attacked.
Is that's one way to keep you awake during this 2-hour run is just automatically, oops, there's an Archie.
Yeah.
Okay, as Mini Lily is still plugging away, hopefully I haven't really seen anything to get her some extra points going through here. And Miss Mike catching up on those floor incentives to take over on the point lead, so we may have a new second place here pretty shortly.
Yeah, I do expect these point souls to go from one end to another here. So Mini Lily kind of has to be scared of her 80 points. So yeah, as I predicted before, those 80 points are not very likely to change with the same speed as Ms. Mike's and Eli's, as the runners directly behind her are going to be. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But Sinister is being tied up with his treasure room here, and Eli picks up an old armor.
That's some extra points for Eli since he didn't grab the magic scale. He found the old armor, so that's 5 points. And that
Very
gets him
nice.
tied for second place.
It's not just the 5 points, it is also an attack boost. Not very relevant, but you know, icing on the cake. Yeah, so we're looking at 38 minutes, more or less, left over in this run. Should be plenty for all 3 runners. They're still deep in the caves, so Sinister, Eli, and Mrs. Mike,
3x.
to get to Jelly and finish their runs.
Aura.
As we
Let's see
see
if
Mrs.
it's-
Mike Stardust below these Cyclops is taking
Yeah.
no chances because those things hit hard.
Yeah, but you know what? They survived.
They did.
So, yeah, it just goes to show, yeah, how efficient the deadly items are if you have them. Because usually those enemies, you just try to deadly them off, and you don't really have to worry about it. If you do have to kill them with damage, yeah, it's not fun. And same goes for these Hades here. So as I explained before, undead enemies are actually not susceptible to deadly instant kill effects. So yeah, you have to kill the Hades as it is an undead enemy with pure damage. So Valor is being used here by Sinister to, or at least on last turn, to diminish the HP as quickly as possible.
And at this point in the run, these Hades have a bunch HP too. Just more than enough that you really would rather not have to fight them. But usually you can have either a holy weapon or a fire weapon to knock off a lot. Because if I'm wrong, and you're going to correct me if I am, they have like 1800 HP?
Something like that, yeah. I don't remember exactly. I think it's 17. I got 1742 in the back of my head for some reason, but I'm not sure that's accurate.
But either
They
way,
have a lot anyway.
that's loads and loads of HP. Because usually monsters around this cave have roughly around 1,000, so pretty close to double, and they just are damage sponges.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some interesting Archfiend movement here from Sinister Rain. Nothing special, so well, maybe some special if he ends up going for the blue chest. It is a bit of a movement challenge. So there is a door to the left. Maybe that's an interesting situation. So there's a door to the left. He can go out the door, or he can go for the blue chest. Either way, he's going to activate those archfiends, and those archfiends are going to hunt him. And yeah, he's choosing to go after the door one, I believe. Trying to get this one behind the chest. Yeah, that's right. And
Oh, and
he's just making it to the door just fine. Very nice.
And RC, we have a question in chat here. For someone that's not really familiar, is this an all random dungeon? Do you want to explain how the dungeon's actually like laid out and how it gets created and all the fun stuff that goes on with making all these runs exciting?
Yeah.
I need it for long.
I guess I can go into it. It's definitely exciting in my opinion, so I would agree with you there. So you're looking at a roguelike mechanic, which means it's not actually random, as in completely random, not like, I don't know, maybe some people are calling it a randomizer. It's actually a different genre of things, I would say. So the way these floors are generated is that there is a table of enemies and weapons and whatnot that can spawn on any specific floor. So let's say floor 10 has certain enemies, and those enemies might spawn on floor 10 or they might not. It's a set of 6 enemies in total for most floors, and yeah, the floors will generally be filled with those enemies. So the floor layouts, it's probably the least consequential of all of them. They're random as well, so I'm not going to go deep into that, but just imagine there's random rooms that the enemies and chests are being placed in. And as for the chests, there is items that spawn at different floors, that start spawning at different floors, I meant to say. So say an item like the Deca Blade starts at floor 15, and once you hit floor 15, that's gonna stay in the pool of items to generate until the end of the cave. There is an exception for a couple of items, but yeah, that's generally what's happening. I hope that was sufficient. And there is 98 floors in total, they're random, as well as a boss floor on floor 99.
Hopefully that was a sufficient answer for the question in chat, because yeah, no run is ever the same. And sometimes that's great, and sometimes it gives me a couple extra gray hairs.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know more, hit me up in Discord. I'm happy to spend hours explaining things to you in detail.
Okay, and while that explanation was going off, we did see Lily use a Providence, getting her that extra 10 points, keeping her still somewhat relevant in the total. However, Ellie and Ms. Mike still going hard and getting those points.
Yeah.
Oh, Genie giving Ellie a little bit of a frosting there, but luckily enough, he's high enough of an XP level to really not get hurt too much by that.
Yeah, so since there's walking around a couple of Dark Summoners here, that's an enemy you really do not want to encounter unless you... Well, sometimes you want to encounter it, but most of the time you don't. Let's just put it that way. And one of our runners, I do not remember who, it's not largely relevant, I encountered wizards before by accident. So that's basically the same thing. They attack twice per turn. They're basically doing the AoE attacks on your party, and you're not going to be happy about that. But Dark Summoners, they're a different caliber than wizards. They're really going to take you apart.
And we see Sin trying to hope this dragon pays attention to probably get some IP farm going, but the dragon just doesn't want to listen, starts walking in the middle of the room.
Yeah. So, yeah, once you hit floor 88, you are done with the Archfiend floors. There is no more... Well, there is leeches still, if you count Dark Summoners, but generally speaking, all the movement on the map that happens is gonna be in your favor. So you can manipulate most of the movement here. Yeah, and you should have an easy enough time getting all the way through 99. So hitting 88 is a good threshold, so to speak, where you know that your run is kind of in a safe enough spot. let me put it that way. So that means you can actually start IP farming, meaning you can get IP to all your characters in order to let all of them, or all the ones you want to, use their IP attacks, so their equipment special attacks, in the jelly fight. Because every time you die, you lose your entire pool of IP. And since you're not very likely to die from here on out, or none of the characters is, this is where you IP farm.
And luckily enough, he gets that solo copper. So we're gonna see how long it takes for him to get some Cinder Blast there to grow some IP. Luckily, the first punch is on Decker, so he's on the right track.
Yeah, especially characters like Decker are kind of hard to get IP on, so Sinister doesn't heal Decker here, which is good, because the less HP characters still have left, the more damage they will take, the more IP they will get, I'm sorry. They will get the same damage, but they will gain more IP for the same amount of damage taken. So Decker is actually full with IP here, and I'm not sure what his plans for selling, but I'm gonna say she might have enough for whatever she's gonna, yeah, end up doing it to Jelly. Because that looks to me like it's 65% at least.
Yeah, that's looking pretty gross. And he did have some curse lifters, so that should be more than enough for a couple of devastations off of a deadly rod.
Yeah, meanwhile, Miss Mike has gotten herself into an encounter with a Hades, trying to sneak by it, and it is accompanied by an Archfiend, meaning, yeah, you just have to take one round of damage, get away, and that worked out very nicely. The encounter afterwards, unfortunately, she ran into that.
But it's by far
Which
the
does happen, though.
least scary of the two encounters to have in that floor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you want to make sure you get your Archfiend movement right. I didn't use. Oh, it's a snow gas, I guess. Is that what they? No. What are those? Cokas? Is that? I have no idea. Not gonna lie.
I mean, that's the same I'm thinking right now too. Is I don't look at those guys' name too often. I usually just run when I make a mistake.
Yeah. Great Coca. There you go. Thanks.
Thank you, Chico. Again, chat bailing us out when we're drawing blanks.
I would not be surprised if you also had to look that up.
Okay, Miss Mike in a forced encounter, but making fine enough work dealing with these ice rogues and moving on to the cave.
And Sinister's gotten. Oh, sorry?
I said if that destroy wasn't cursed, but nope, makes it out all misses. I am safe. I should stop talking during encounters. I don't want to be the one that's caused all this.
So here's a little known fact: no matter what you're saying, it will not influence RNG. You heard it here first.
Denouncing the caster curse. How dare you?
That's all right.
All right, Miss Mike, the floor 78 with half an hour left. This is where you have to start thinking that you need to get some speed, because you just need to make sure that you get to that floor 99 within that 2-hour period.
Interesting.
At what point, RC, do you think that runners should just cut what they're doing and make it? Like, how much time do you think you need to get to the floors at this point? Once you're like, say, in the 70s, like how would you personally judge the actions?
Yeah, so right now, say someone was at floor 70 right now, right? I believe all our runners are past that, but I'm not actually sure. Well, all the 3 there are still deep in the cave. So looking at the timer, we are at 1 hour 34 right now. So you're gonna get points if you're sub 2 hours, which is obviously gonna be easy enough if you're already at floor 70. So the time you're looking at is to go sub 145 for an additional 5 points, based on the. Well, let me make that pop up in chat here really quick if I can. based on the rules of the tournament, you're going to get 5 points for being sub 145. And if you do manage to finish the run in that time, yeah, I don't think you can be sure if you're at floor 70. You're going to need an amazing luck to actually make it down there. So my recommendation would definitely be take your time. You're going to be not getting those 5 points anyway. As it looks like right now, Sinister is actually way beyond floor 70. And yeah, I'm not quite sure which... Okay, so Miss Mike Mike is in 79, so that's a bit of a... She could technically go for it, but I would still recommend not being hasty over those 5 points, right? So that's not a lot of points for a lot of stuff you have to lose. So rather take your time, get some extra levels, maybe get some other point incentives like the Gorgon Rock, which is exactly what Mrs. Mike Mike is apparently trying here. So yeah. Eli is at 82, so that's basically the same thing. With Sinister, he could try to push for those 5 points, yeah.
Okay, and
I
to
could see
answer the question in chat, those core cubes, the cores, they usually want to run. The only way that we can really deal with them effectively is cast a spell and hope to pray, because the way that the coding of this game has made it, they made their magic defense so high it underflowed. And any damage from a spell, even if it's tier 1, even at against no cores, it just instantly kills them. So it's just cast a spell and pray that they don't run. And RC, you were saying they have a 75% chance to run most of the time?
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, you just cast a spell and hope and pray, and there you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers the question properly enough. And Sin making it floor 94. So with 9 minutes left, he doesn't really have a kill. I believe he doesn't have a Decker Blade or anything like that. So hopefully
Yeah.
we can see something on Sin's side that he can clinch it, because right now he's running out of chests fast and what to grab.
Yeah, in this position, you're definitely trying to open as many chests as you can and trying to get, yeah, basically something, right? And in the absence of something, you can still get a lot of levels from dragons. There is a blue chest, so that might be the Gades blade he's been looking for. Wait, he doesn't have Guy, right? It's only been an hour 30. I still can't remember these parties.
Don't think he has Guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so he just picked up a Gorgon Rock, which is not to be confused with the Gorgon Rock.
You know, my first couple of runs, I did confuse the two. Got to the jelly, used a Gorgon Rock, and I'm like, wait, that's not Axe Attack.
What is this? Plethora of attack animations. Yeah.
For Gorgon.
Okay, I haven't kept a keen eye on Ellison over the last few viewers, but he's still going strong, and he's already at 90 points. He's making it. He's in the floor 80s. I can't complain with how he's running this at all. Like, even with all the technical and outside difficulties that stopped him, he's keeping pace.
Yeah, for all we know, everything's burning down around him, and he's prioritizing the cave. So yeah, I hope everything's all right.
And he gets a magic scale. Unfortunately, he's already gotten the old armor, so...
Yeah. Well, still, the magic scale is a bit of an agility boost, and he's not going to be unhappy to have it.
I just see that horde of Archfiend sprites on Mrs. Mike's side. No matter which way it's banked, that she is having to fight one of them.
Yeah, let's see if she's making the right decisions.
Oh, and double Ice Rogue. Whew.
Very nice. That's what you want to see. So those enemies, they're actually kind of dangerous, but still, runners of this game are always going to be happy to see them because they share a map sprite with Archfiends. But they're just way slower than them, have way less HP, and are generally not all that threatening because of those factors. So, yeah. It's a bit of a shame.
There are still the times you let your guard down against Ice Rogues, and they unleash their abilities and your party
Yeah.
goes down and you're just left like,
Cruelly so, yeah.
but I was safe. What is this cruel storm?
RC, you told me that it was fine to encounter ice rogues. They can't kill. Yeah, okay, they can kill you. Yeah, but archfiends will kill you a lot more, is what I'm saying.
All right, floor 96. As Sinister gets closer and closer, he's got to be sweating because there's not that many chests left.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, you're skipping a lot of chests in general throughout the cave, and for the sake of time, which is required because if you try to open every single chest, you probably maybe wouldn't make it down here in 2 hours. Maybe you would, but you can't be sure. So, yeah, as I explained before with how the cave generation works, the most powerful items are in those chests at the end of the run, with a myth plate that starts at floor 60. So, yeah, now you can find all those items, but yeah, you're eventually, as you said, you're running out of chests. You do not have limitless amounts of chests you can open, and he's already floor 97. It wouldn't be the first floor 97 Decablade in a tournament, but the chances are slim. And there is one more floor after that, that's floor 98, and that is the last floor he has to do everything he wants, so gain levels, farm IP, which of course he already has, and yeah, gain the equips he's looking for.
And as I go and look and see Cinderblast taking out a couple of characters on Mrs. Mike's screen, not exactly the IP farm that we all wanted on that one. Just goes to show these dragons, even though we kind of play around with them movement-wise, they're still pretty scary.
Yeah. She does have a party that is very resistant against Cinderblast, so that is the most tanky party that you can get into the cave with, as far as that's concerned. However, she's only, I want to say only at level 31, so you can IP farm at level 31, it's just a bit harder, and yeah, you're not going to be as comfortable doing it as, I don't know, say level 35 or level 40, which you might get to in a tourney scenario.
And then seeing Sinister dealing with those gold dragons with terror balls and throwing everything in the kitchen sink to just get past that encounter. And luckily enough, his run still continues. Yeah,
so we do have 3 runs here that might all still finish, and I'm very excited to see how this is going to end up. So this is still, I want to say, anyone's game. Yeah, due to how the tiebreaker works, with Eli having overtaken Mini Lily in terms of floors, unfortunately,
you son of a bitch,
unless Lily still finds some points somewhere on the road, that means right now Eli is in the 2nd place position, and Sinister obviously with 100 points in front of him. But yeah, this might still change in the last, what do we have, 17 minutes.
Yeah, Sin on the last floor, so very, very few chests remain. I don't remember LA getting Decker Blade or anything like that too, so he is also still struggling to get that kill, while Mrs. Mike holding onto that Decker Blade and has like the highest chance for the Jelly kill out of our remaining runners, if we can make it in time.
So I can only imagine how this looks like to, casual players of this game, with people intentionally encountering dragons to farm IP, and I'm sure it is interesting for people to watch. A couple of people have said that they are reminded of this game due to watching this run, and they're feeling like playing this again. So I can only recommend it. This game is a lot of fun, and playing this again as an adult, I've had a whole new perspective on how the game works. So I would say you can definitely still enjoy it. It's a game that's definitely stood the test of time, in my opinion. And yeah, the speedrun scene is strong, I guess. So if you want to, hit us up on Discord and join us for some of our fun events, hopefully so. Or just hang out.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with Lufia especially, is everyone's like, oh, I played this game a lot as a kid, and then 15 years go by, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the Discord. I don't know if it's been linked recently.
I guess we can do that.
Yeah, if we can link that Discord,
Let me see.
and we have a lot of people usually talking in it. Any questions that you want to answer, we have more than enough people that are very knowledgeable, like RC himself.
Or other people, you know. But I appreciate it.
Gotta plug the Professor RC, man. You've done a lot for the community and come up with a lot of answers that we were trying to find, so always gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, we got a couple of people looking at the details of this, and yeah, it's still not completely solved, I would say. How can I get sub RC? I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's the one
Ellie,
thing I can't figure out.
getting a Cinderblast, getting his IP on everyone pretty much full. Artie's a little shy, but he's definitely not gonna need full 100% on Artie. So he is pretty much set for what he wants to do. Just needs a couple of items. Oh, and Sin feeding, getting ready to get that M-Form Blaze. And Eve, to answer your question, I believe only Sin got the Charm Fruit.
I think so too. Yeah, we're seeing some capsule feeding here. Something that at least I haven't seen done a lot in the first round. But yeah, Sinister is determined to get the objective. Like I said, rather than hoping for the 5 points and killing the jelly, trying to kill the jelly fast, not knowing whether you can get it, or knowing you get to spend 15 minutes to do stuff like feed the capsule and get a guaranteed 10 points, assuming you can feed the capsule. Yeah, that's definitely the better decision. I'm glad Sinister got for it.
And
Very nice.
Sin fed both cursed both. So he's definitely saying no to that objective. But at least we get to see another objective in this M-Form Blaze. Granted, if he gets the second form Gusto.
Yeah, for now he's got the Demon's Crest demon there. Saw Disco Wolf from Mrs. Mike earlier. A couple of very interesting capsule evolves here. Eli's also feeding Sully. You do get a bit of a choice of your capsules or, you know, Pokemon-like things, as you said earlier, Ben. It's not a bad comparison at all. Yeah, speedrun-wise, only a couple of them really matter. But for these tournaments, Lace is an additional option to consider, I suppose. Yeah, and there's the triangle-shaped dragon.
And
Evolving
from a dog to a dragon to a phoenix. And only Lufia can all these things happen from the same monster.
That's how Darwin told us it works. Or so. But yeah, Sinister getting ready for the jelly. It looks like so level 41, 42 is a pretty good level. He still needs the gear to get it. And I see a mistrip here. Did I see 2 Uncursed Deadly Rods? I'm not sure that is accurate. And a Silver Sword, a Sky Sword. I already forgot. So let's see how that goes. As we explained before, there's 3 turns in which you get to fight the jelly, and the jelly itself doesn't fight back. So you basically just get to pound on him, but after 3 turns, he does not want to take it anymore. So yeah, that is a double Uncursed Deadly Rod. So those are the fractional attacks doing about 1,300 damage, and like between the two of them on average. It was not the worst first turn for a couple of fractionals, but it could have been better.
Yeah, not having the big swings of a Myth Blade or a Decker Blade. These Deadly Rods are doing work.
Yeah. 9,980 HP in total are supposed to be chopped off here. And there was a second turn. Now in the last turn, we're gonna see people exchanging the strong characters to front, so front characters deal more damage than back row characters. And we will see those two guys' IP attacks being used from the front row to cause maximum damage. We'll see how that turns out. I did not count the damage.
And also seeing a 490 something Dragon Con room for Ellie, kind of blocking him from progressing any farther here.
Yeah, not just the Dragon Con, but the Dragon Con with Dark Summoners, so not necessarily something you like to see. So I believe Sinister is on his last attack now with a Sky Splitter. Yes, and that was the third turn, and it's unfortunately not a kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's gotta hope that the 120 points are enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So right now, his run is over. We're looking at 120 points for him, assuming the points are up to date. And yeah, Eli, Mrs. Mike, and even Mini Lily can still, they're very close. Oh, this is actually interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I did not want to count Lily out, but it is actually not very likely.
You know what? What if this 1 point from the engage ring is what matters for Mrs. Mike?
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Because, yeah, all three of them sitting at 90 points, but Miss Mike having 91 with that engage ring is it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh man, so Eli's treasure room here is not great. So those Dark Summoners will ordinarily not teleport on top of you, and I think he's pretty safe here for the moment, but being like cornered by those dragons and at the same time having to deal with the Dark Summoners is not a nice place to be in.
No, but luckily he's positioning himself right and gets that first attack on these. He's playing this really, really smart, and it really goes to show how used he is to this type of pressure.
Yeah, and he is killing Dark Summoners in a strategic way to not leave a lot of room for them to call a Leech as a reinforcement. So that is very well played. That's actually a fairly advanced thing to do. If, say, he would have killed the two left ones, then there would be a lot of room on the left to, call a Leech or whatever the other enemy is that they call as reinforcements. It's, yeah, very nice. Very nicely done.
And Sinister saying he was 9,095 damage after the splitter.
Yeah, so that's more than a couple of hundred. So I guess not as close as he would like, but definitely GG to you, Sinister. That was a pretty good run, and the first person to get to the jelly in this race.
Yeah, and with say this with 7 minutes left, I don't know if Ellie can get farther. And there's a treasure room on Mrs. Mike's side.
Yeah.
This engage ring might be it, because this is.
Man, we'll see. I mean, both of these runners are gonna be really pressed for time. So, yeah.
Unless Lily can snipe
Oh yeah.
can snipe something, snipe a couple of iris items or a mimic kill.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because Lily's coming up to the blue mimics. Lily has already done the Providence re-entry mill grips, so she had the blue mimic encounters as one of her last way to get points.
Yeah, I suppose. Now there is one more thing I can think of.
Oh, she cut the bush. Is she trying for the? No sword on Salon gives it a good chance.
And Eli's. Oh, I was thinking he does the dash and pray or whatever people call it.
With 5 minutes left, this is close, guys. For these three runners, anything can happen, and I'm looking at Lily setting up to kill these mimics. She's going in. She's got the encounter. There's 3 of them. And,
yeah, you know how as a commentator you kind of are always drawn to like go like, oh, okay, everything can still happen, even though you kind of know that's not the case. In this case, yeah, everything could still happen.
Yeah, this is insane for all of these runners to, after 2 hours to be this close. Ellie gets out of that puzzle room, and
and Mini Lily actually has an has an opportunity here to get some more points.
yeah, this is insane. Gets the 2.
Man,
It's 2 out of 3. So there's a frenzy, which we expected, and she gets it. She gets the point.
Very nice.
Wow.
So she's at 100. Eli's at 100.
Oh. Wow. This is crazy.
Who would think you could kill those things?
Right?
Yeah.
I thought they were just a wall that you'd like smacked and bounced off of, but you know,
exactly.
She actually killed them. So this is still a race.
Yeah, very nice. It's very interesting. We got 3.5 minutes to go actually here.
You know what?
Yeah.
If Lily can snipe that engage ring, that 1 extra point.
You're putting a lot of trust in the engage ring, yeah. But I mean, you're not wrong.
Points are points. Like with the
yeah. Like that being said, any blue chest for her is gonna be a really good choice to actually, or a really good chance to actually get a random item that's gonna put her over the threshold. Yeah. So in the same way, Mrs. Mike only has to get 10 points to make it a wild card because she for sure has the engage ring already, and if she can make it, just to the next set of 10 floors.
Oh, but
I'm not
that
sure which floor she's
treasure,
at.
but that convention room. Oh no. Like I'm on the edge of my seat for these runners with 3 minutes left. Like this is insane.
Can't look away. Yeah, if this run doesn't convince you that Cave has amazing runs in store for people, man. I'm just watching this in awe, like there is nothing I can...
Yeah, all I can do is sit and watch and just amaze at these runners going at it, like...
Yeah.
As it stands right now, since Ellie's the deepest into the cave, like, his tiebreaker over Lily puts him in the wildcard spot, but... There's 2 minutes, this cave can throw anything at us, so let's just, wish these runners luck on what's remaining and see who comes out on top.
Right now, unfortunately, no one is in really great position to move on. So, Mindy Lily and Miss Mike both have terrible treasure rooms to deal with. Oh, and Mindy Lily especially. She gets lucky there, nice. A lot of, fake blue chests down there, but fortunately she doesn't have to kill another one. But... yeah, there is less than 1.5 minutes on the clock. This could be a very clutch finish here by one of the runners.
Miss Mike making the heads-up play to Providence out to put her ahead of Ellie.
Oh, man!
That
is amazing!
A smart play. I didn't even think that she still had that left. That's it. That puts her 1 point ahead. So with 1 minute remaining, it is now on Ellie to get to the floor, to get to the jelly.
Yeah. That is very nice, and I guess we're gonna see whether it was someone else's plan to do that as well, because, you know, again, they might be listening in on the stream or watching what the other runners are doing. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. At this point, pretty much everyone would have Providence because the chance of having it is so high at this point. It's like 90-something
And
percent
with
per
20
floor.
and 20 seconds left, the engage ring may be the thing.
Oh, but Eli, he hovers over it, but he doesn't want it. He says, I do not want to win this way. Or maybe he just doesn't like the wildcard round. One way or another. So yeah, we're looking at the last couple of seconds here, and it looks like...
And that's it. That's time.
Yeah.
So 101
Nice.
points. That engage ring does it.
And Lily finds an Iris Tiara. Is that actually her third one by any chance? I did notice
I
she
don't
opens
know.
a lot of...
I don't
would be
know.
amazing.
That would be crazy. But as far as I can tell, that 1 point from the engage ring puts Miss Mike into the wild card.
Yeah. So I will admit I did not think of Providence anymore. Yeah, that was very well played.
Yeah, no,
what can I say?
that is well done and very heads up thinking to just scramble to get the points. That is amazing. That like this last little bit of these runners, like I'm blown away. Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for anything more for a race.
It was a great race. Yeah. Shout outs to all of our runners. I mean, Volt unfortunately got pretty much cornered very early in the run. Well, an hour in, so to speak. So early enough to be annoying and late enough to not try again, right? Well, actually, he died twice, but he did very well as far as I could see. There is not a lot of reason to.
Ellie providencing too late.
Yeah. So
Well,
I will say, runners' timers might be different than the actual runs. However, I still see Eli in the lobby and not entering the cave again. So as far as that's concerned, unfortunately.
yeah, it's all over now.
Yeah.
That was a pretty intense finish right there for the second place, I must say.
That like I couldn't have asked anything more to calm. Like this race, that was amazing.
So
Yeah.
with that, Sinister will move on to the finals, and Mrs. Mike will go to the wild card rounds, which let me switch over to this real quick. This will be our dates right here. You can see June 5th, that was today. June 12th will be the next two groups, and June 26th is the wild cards and finals. So I want to give a big shout out to Real Critical and Veticus. Thank you very much for commentating this.
Sure.
And
Yeah, anytime.
big shout out to the runners. Also, big shout out to Eve for doing this amazing artwork for the Fatal Blowout stuff. Yeah, thank you to RC for the layout stuff. Everybody else behind the scenes. It's too many people to mention since I made you guys do all the work for me. But yeah, I will go ahead and end it here. Thanks again to everyone for watching, and we will see you next week.